Hello, welcome back to BORG Solo Session 2. The last time we left off, we had Naplam, not Naplam, I already fucked up. Rebar staring into the campfire, as he thinks about the vision that he just saw. So, the vision that he saw was of a pregnant bull slaughtering a howling lamb. So the question is, what is the significance of this? We know that there is some kind of howling lamb that indicates where they need to go in Graven-Tosk and what crypt they need to find. But what does that actually mean, the pregnant bull slaughtering it? I have a few ideas of my own, but I think for this we should figure it out as we go. So, as the morning light creeps up, whatever of it is left in the dying lands, and Naplam wakes up. He sees Rebar still staring into the ashes of what's left of the campfire. And at this point, I think Naplam goes, "Thank you for saving my life back there with that horrible hedgehog thing, whatever that was, the thing covered in blades. Thank you for coming back and saving my life." So I think Rebar at this point is still bandaged up. He is still kind of like injured, but he is healing up pretty well. I mean, he's at max hit points, so I think he's fine now. And Rebar nods and says, "You're welcome. If I may ask, that thing on your neck, I don't know how to say it politely, but that bulbous growth on your neck, is that a medical condition of some kind?" So Naplam, for Naplam, this is kind of like a sensitive topic for him, right? Naplam had this bulbous growth for quite some time, and he's been trying to get rid of it. But the question is, how did he get this bulbous growth? So I think for that, we're actually going to use an oracle. So I think since we're gonna like mix it up a bit, I actually have my own oracle right here. And we can roll on this, and we can try to figure out, what does this bulbous growth mean? Let's see. So that's going to be, oops, wrong. There we go. 79. Protect. 2. Soul. Protect soul. I think Naplam was on the wrong side of a deal here. I think in order to maybe protect his life or his soul, he had to make some kind of deal with some kind of eldritch god or something. And that god, maybe it was dying, maybe is now imbued within him. What do we know about Naplam? We know that he had his earliest memories of following an army since he was a child, as a child soldier in the Eastern Westland. And he had this bulbous growth around that time. I think what happened is that he raided a crypt along with the army. Maybe they were fighting a god of some kind. And I think that they almost killed that figment or that, that form of the god. But as they both lie there dying, and his friends are all dying along with him, the god strikes a deal with him. "You and I shall both live, but we shall live together." And I think the remnants of that god are slowly festering within him. And he is basically two people. Well, one person and one god. Does he tell this to Rebar in its entirety? I feel like he would. So I'm gonna say that's a likely event. So let's see. So there's that and... Alright. So, yes, he does. He tells it to Rebar. Normally I don't say this kind of thing, he says. But as thanks for you saving my life, there's a god of some kind living within this bulbous growth. And as we stare at the bulbous growth, it kind of morphs and kind of shifts a bit. I think Rebar is a bit taken aback by this. He's a philosopher. He thinks about these things a lot. And he nods, maybe doubtfully, but he nods. He acknowledges it. I think at this point, Naplam is going to ask Rebar, what about you? When we were on that ship with the 7 women with the black eyes, they offered me a deal. What was the deal that they offered you? So we know that Rebar was in a large amount of debt, and it wasn't something normal. It wasn't something that he could pay off within his lifetime, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it kept going up and up and up, and increasingly it became passed on to more dangerous entities. We know this about Rebar. What is this debt? Who is this debt to? So in this case, we're gonna roll up again. Let's roll. We have a 3 take. 18 death. Take death. I think he killed somebody. I think at one point, we don't know the details of this, but he killed somebody important. Maybe it was some wretched royalty of some kind. Maybe it was something else. But he killed somebody very important to somebody else. And maybe important to a group of people. And I think that cursed him, basically. The debt is kind of like a curse. And what does this curse entail? Well, we know that he's slowly getting cataract in his eyes, almost fully. His vision is starting to fade. I think that he's going to turn blind if he doesn't clear this debt. And there was no way of clearing the debt previously. So I think we'll say that yes, he did kill a wretched royalty. And he needs to be able to clear his wrongs. And the only way of doing that right now is to find whatever is in that crypt. At least that's what the 7 ladies with the black eyes told them. So does Rebar tell this all to Naplam? Or does he think that Naplam might be able to maybe use it for his own good? For this, I'm not going to say it's likely. I'm going to say it's a 50-50 chance. The reason for this is because I think Rebar did not help Naplam out of his own goodwill. I think that Rebar came back to save his life because he knew he was his only chance to clear him of the debt. And if Naplam knows that, well, it's not going to be very good for Rebar. So I think Rebar is going to have a 50-50 chance, let's see, of telling this. Barely not. Okay. Rebar explains it as a debt, just as a debt. He doesn't go into detail. He doesn't say who it is to. He doesn't say that he killed someone of royalty. He just says he has a debt to pay. And that by finding the crypt, maybe they can find treasures within that can help him pay his debt. Maybe. He isn't sure himself, he says. Okay, so that's cleared up. So we know that Naplam basically has a god living within his neck. He tried to get barber surgeons to maybe clear it off, maybe try to fix him, so to speak, but being on his neck is pretty hard. Rebar, on the other hand, has a debt that's basically a curse. He killed somebody in the past, and he has to atone for it now. Okay, so we know this about both of them. So I think at this point, we are going to also try to find out something else. Back on that ship, Naplam and Rebar, we determined that they woke up there without much memory of what happened before. They had memories in the Dying Lands, but they woke up on that ship, and they killed every single person on board. That's not normal, right? Why did they kill every single person on board, and why did they spare each other? I think it's likely to say that it's some kind of supernatural thing, but we don't know the details. Maybe... I don't think I'm gonna roll for this. I think I'm gonna say that the rest of the people on board were maybe ghouls of some kind, or zombies, or something else. And I think having killed all of them and tossed them into the water, they try to make their way back to the Dying Lands. And we don't know yet why they woke up on that boat or what kind of fate drew them together. But they are now together, and they now have to face whatever's ahead. So, that's that. At this point, I believe that Rebar has the 2 weighted dice. And I think at this point he tosses them in his hands. So remember that these weighted dice are kind of like have horrible fetus looking faces on them. And I think he says... I'm not sure where we're supposed to go. We are at the entrance... Well, we're near the entrance of Graven-Tosk. I can see it up ahead. I suppose we'll just go in and we'll see what this howling lamb business is. And I think at this point he does tell Naplam about his vision. About a vision of a pregnant bull slaughtering a howling lamb. And I think Naplam goes, that's strange. Maybe it's a vision from the 7 ladies with black eyes, maybe. Maybe we'll find out more, but I think all we can do at this point is to go ahead into Graven-Tosk and see what we find. Alright, so they're at the opening of Graven-Tosk, right? They're at the edges of Graven-Tosk, this gigantic graveyard, and they go in. So what do they find at the very edges of this place? Could they perhaps find a hint of some kind? I think for this we're gonna use my travel rules again. So we're going to actually roll. Firstly, we're gonna roll a d20 to determine what kind of encounter we find. 15. Nothing immediately apparent stands out to us. So we have to roll a d10 3 times here. 3, 9, 9. Shadowy monument with a treasure cache. At this point we also need to know what's the weather like actually. I think it'll be nice to know that. Let's see, what is the weather like today? 7. Cloudburst. Okay, there's this spectacular vision in the sky, this cloudburst, very colorful, but it's not something they're too concerned with. But as they step into Graven-Tosk, that cloudburst almost disappears from view. It's a very shadowy area that they're in. And in this shadowy area, there's some kind of weird monument, some kind of shrine or some large structure. Maybe an obelisk of some kind, maybe a cairn. Yeah, let's say it's kind of some kind of obelisk, right? And there's also this kind of chest at the base of it. I think both of them immediately think that this is a trap. but they're also both very, very, very curious. What is this monument, this perhaps religious thing on the edges of Graven-Tosk? And why is there a chest at the bottom of it? What could they possibly find there? I think at this point, Rebar hesitates. I think he's somewhat religious, and I think he says, it's better not to bother with this. But I think Naplam is curious. Naplam says, there might be something inside that could give us a clue, maybe. We're trying to find this area, we don't know anything else about it, and we come across this weird kind of location, this structure. I think we should take a look. And before Rebar can say anything, Naplam goes forward and opens the chest. Now, the question is, was the chest trapped? I'm gonna say it's a 50-50 chance of the chest being trapped. So, was it? No, okay, it wasn't trapped. He opens up the chest, and inside the chest, what does he find? I think he finds... Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's actually look at our oracle here. What does he find? So we'll use this oracle this time. Tree. Black sun. Obscurity. Surprise. Miracle. I think he finds an amulet of some kind. This amulet is completely dark, and I think it almost seems to absorb the light around it. But this makes me think, black sun. This circular kind of amulet, is it some kind of compass? It does say it's a miracle. I think it's going to be some kind of compass. I'd say that's a likely chance. Let's see. Yes. So it is a kind of compass, leading them towards somewhere. Okay, so one of them now has this amulet. I think it's going to be Naplam since he took it. So, dark amulet. I'm just gonna write that down. Amulet of the black sun. And it's some kind of compass, and it's leading them towards some kind of place. And when I think of this amulet, I think of the 7 women with the black eyes. And I think Naplam and Rebar both stare at this amulet, and they're both reminded of how dark the eyes were of those 7 women. Similar to this amulet, it seemed like all light disappeared from the regions in their eyes. And this compass, how does it look? I think there's going to be some kind of symbol at the edges of it showing them where they are supposed to go, and it kind of like moves around. There's this like one light spot showing them where to go. Maybe an arrow of some kind. So they have the amulet of this black sun, and they obviously follow it. They follow it and they try to find where this place is. So I'm going to say it's very, very close by, but we don't know how close by it is. I'm going to say very arbitrarily that it's going to be a d4 divided by 2, so it's going to be a d2 basically. Let's see. How many locations do they have to go before they find whatever this thing points to? 2 locations. Alright. They don't have that much food left. Okay. They don't have that much food left, but I think they do barely have enough for 2 locations. Yeah. I think they're gonna be able to go down there and find out what's in those locations. So I'm gonna say that they have to do a camping move. They walk for some time and then they get tired and they're like, we need to rest before we move on. But I think Naplam is like, we don't have that many rations left. I think we should keep going without the food, at least for now. I think Rebar thinks about it. He agrees. So they do not camp for that night. They keep walking. They're fatigued. They're tired, but they keep walking. I believe there are rules for this in the core book that I am not able to remember right now. Let me check real quick. I believe it's in the healing section, like the resting section, sorry. Here we go. I found it. Resting. Without food or drink, no HP is restored when resting, and after 2 days, a starving PC loses D4 HP per day. I think they're not gonna eat for tonight, and they're gonna keep going, but the next day, they will start losing HP. So they keep going. What do they find on the next day? Let's see. So we're gonna roll again. We're gonna find out what they find. 12. Again, nothing immediately apparent. They're getting very lucky, or rather unlucky, depending on what it could be. But what else do they find within this area? 6, 10, 6. A haunted camp with a message of some kind. I think as they're walking through, they find some kind of camp. I think at this point it's pertinent to ask, is this connected to our story? So there's an optional rule here that I wrote for checking whether it's connected to the story or not. It's not seemingly connected. So they come across this camp, and I think at this point, we also need to figure out what the weather is like, of course. Let's see here. 10. It's an irritating drizzle. Okay, within this irritating drizzle, they come across this camp, and they immediately feel a bit intimidated. There seems to be some kind of weird feeling that I think permeates through the air, and I think Naplam feels it a bit, but Rebar feels it a lot because he's in tune with this kind of thing. And I think at this camp, there's some kind of message. I'm gonna say that this message, because they had a message previously through the ritualistic murders that they found when they first entered Sarkash, they didn't know what it meant. But I think the same ritual has been done here as well. And I think that the 2 weighted dice that Rebar has start making some noise. We know that there's faces on these weighted dice, and they start not yelling, but they start making some kind of shrill sound. And as they get closer and closer to the ritual, we find like bodies, blood. There's some kind of message on the wall that neither of them can read. Actually, that's a good question. Can either of them read these messages? Let's see. Can Rebar read it? I'm gonna do a move here. Rebar is not able to read these messages. Okay. Let's see about Naplam. Can Naplam read it? Yes, very much so actually. Naplam halts for a moment. He stops Rebar. He's like, wait. I think I know what this is. I think I know what this message means. I've seen this somewhere in my journey in the wasteland. It means, well, what does it actually mean? Let's find out. I think we're going to use this time. Let's see, what does it actually mean? A rain of blood, conflict, threat, and victory. Well, that makes sense. There's a lot of blood around. But victory. Victory over what? I know what this is. I know what this is. Okay. So, Naplam says, this wasn't a cult doing a ritualistic sacrifice. It was another cult muscling in on this cult's turf and killing everybody within it. The message on the walls is of, well, it's speaking of a pregnant bull. I think, and Naplam pauses for a bit, I think that the pregnant bull and the howling lamb might be the symbols of these two cults. And they might be warring with each other. Rebar takes a look at the messages and he doesn't fully understand them, but being that he has a background in this kind of thing, I think he notices maybe some inscriptions of some stuff. Yes, Luna Plum, big brain moment, that's true. So he notices these inscriptions and he agrees. He says, yeah, it's strange. Does that mean that the crypt that we're about to find is of the cult that's being destroyed? And Naplam he doesn't know. He's like, maybe, I'm not sure. I think at this point, yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, actually. I think the growth on his neck starts shaking as well. I think this might be all connected, but we have to see how it goes. They search the camp. Let's see if they find anything actually. It's a good chance to see whether they can find anything. So they're gonna be searching for a certain object. And I think I'm only gonna do this once using, I believe, Rebar. Rebar is gonna search while Naplam kind of like keeps watch. And he's gonna have a +4 to this, so there's a high chance he will find something of worth. Very high chance. So we'll see. Not if he rolls horribly like that, I guess. So he does find something, but it's not something very useful. But let's see what it is. It's a weak hit, so he finds absolutely nothing. Actually, it's a D4. If it's 1, it's nothing. If it's 2, 3, or 4, it will be something else. But he thinks he finds something. He picks it up. It crumbles into ash. Naplam goes, Rebar, you find anything? Rebar's like, nah, nothing. Can't find anything within this mess. I guess Naplam is like, at least we know what we're looking for now. We know that we're looking for some kind of crypt of a cult of a howling lamb. Or a cult of lamb or something. And Rebar's like, yeah, that makes sense. So I think at that point, they are actually going to camp. But given that they are already inside a camp of some sort, I think they're just gonna camp within, maybe slightly away from the corpses, the decaying corpses. They're gonna camp a bit away from there, but they're gonna camp. And they're gonna eat some food. And they're gonna both go down to 1 food. And we're gonna see, does anything disturb them in their sleep? Knowing our luck, probably yes. Alright, let's see. Does anything actually disturb them in their sleep? Naplam first. He gets a weak hit. So he's camping D4 HP. Restore 1 Omen and 1 Power. We already have that. He has full hit points. We're fine. Use 1 ration. However, he has a Restless Night of Sleep. Probably because this new information makes him a bit troubled. Especially given that there's this growth on his neck that is now vibrating. And it seems to be reacting to this. Internally, I think it's screaming at him, and he's still able to get some sleep because he's used to this, but he's troubled. As for Rebar, he hasn't gotten proper sleep in how many days? I don't know. We'll see. Will he get sleep? For once, Rebar also gets sleep. Not good sleep, but he gets sleep. He gets some sleep. So, Rebar gets some sleep. He recovers omens and hit points, which is already a max, so it's fine. And I think both of them are really troubled by what's been going on and what's going to await them. They go forth, and this is the last waypoint before they get to the dungeon. So let's see what is in this final waypoint as the compass leads them through this area in Graven-Tosk. Do they find anything? They've been lucky so far. Let's see. Very lucky, actually. They find no monsters, no NPCs. They're good. Very lucky. 3 times in a row, if you count last session. Nice. Okay, so trade 8. Feature 1. Discovery 1. 811. That will be a phantasmal graveyard, makes sense. They find some kind of ritual. I think this ritual, this time it's an actual ritual. It's not a message of some kind. It's not an actual like, it's not like a killing of like this cult, of another cult. But is the ritual in progress? I think it is. And it's in a graveyard. Okay. So there's a ritual in progress. Who is conducting the ritual? Let's find out. Firstly, how many of them are there? How many of them are there and who is conducting the ritual? I'm going to say D4 of them are there and they're conducting a ritual. So D4. 4 NPCs are there conducting some kind of ritual. Who are these NPCs? 5. We have a night soil / corpse / leech collector. Kind of like a grave digger, a grave robber, kind of, but a lot more disgusting. They grab these leeches and they sell them, or they put them in stews. Disgusting, disgusting stuff. Why are they performing this ritual? Well, do we even want to find out? Or do we want to just pass them by? Well, do they see us at all? Yeah, firstly, do they even see us? Let's see here. I'm going to say they're preoccupied, so there's going to be yeah, I'm going to say they're preoccupied, so there's going to be a 9 DR agility move. And I think Rebar's going to go forth. So I'm going to say agility +2. Yep, let's see. Do they see us? No, they do not see us. So it's a strong hit. They don't detect us at all. They are too preoccupied with their ritual, whatever it is. I think at this point, Rebar is sneaking up on them. Naplam whispers to Rebar. These guys are weak. There's 4 of them, but we can take them. They have food, probably. We need the food. We need that food. I'd say we rob them, we kill them. Whatever ritual they're doing, I don't care. I think we should kill them and take their food. They have leeches. It's gonna feed us for a bit. It's not the best food in the world, but it'll feed us. Rebar, I think, is inclined to agree. I think we're going to actually sneak up on this band that's doing this ritual and start slaughtering them. So what are the stats on these guys? I don't think they're going to be armored. I'm going to say that they have maybe 4 HP. I'm also going to say that they do D4 damage. And that's about it. Their morale, let's make this up. Let's say like maybe they have 8 morale. Sure. Something like that. Let's see what happens with these 4 people. So there's gonna be 4 of them, right? So if they are able to take out these guys, they should be able to get a lot of stuff out of them. But there are 4 of them, so we'll have to see. 4 HP, D4 damage, 8 morale. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are their hit points, and they are all conducting a ritual in this square pattern. I think what's going to happen is that Rebar is going to sneak up onto this left side, and Naplam is going to sneak up onto this right side, this right bottom side. And I think they're both going to strike. So according to the rules, if it doesn't detect them at all, if they choose to fight, they have initiative. They immediately do a strike and attack each of these Leech collectors. So Naplam immediately strikes with his Y-hander, and I'm gonna roll for it. Oh no. Naplam barely misses and alerts the Leech collector. As for Rebar, let's see about him. Yeah, I think Rebar is also just going to swing at this guy, and we're gonna see what happens as well. Oh my god, they both miss. They have terrible luck. They both miss. They alert the rest of these guys. So I think the 2 at the top here start to move down. They interrupt the ritual. Actually, that's a good question. Are they still going to try to like end off their ritual peacefully? Like maybe it's a very dangerous ritual and they can't stop it immediately. Let's see, it's a 50-50 chance. Do we basically get a free attack in, which we just wasted? Let's see. Yes, we do. So they basically are trying to stop the ritual. They are alarmed by this, but we are now going to roll into initiative. And I believe that means that they start first? Yeah, I think so. Let me just check that. Yeah, the enemies begin. So, the 2 of them at the top trying to stop the ritual, they kind of like start moving down, and they're going to, in the next turn, be able to attack. I'm gonna write this down. They're gonna be able to attack Rebar and Naplam. And they're gonna move down, and they're gonna be able to attack Rebar and Naplam. These 2 guys just swing at Rebar and Naplam. We're gonna see, are they able to dodge it? So for Naplam first, is he able to dodge it? Yes, he is. Now for Rebar. Rebar is not able to dodge it. Rebar gets hit. For how much? 2. Okay, is he gonna be able to block that? Yes, he's gonna be able to block that. So he gets hit for 2 damage, but his fur armor is able to kind of, guard against some of this damage. And I think at this point, they're gonna try swinging again. So yeah, I think Rebar has a bunch of omens. So I think what he's going to do is he's gonna reduce the check for attacking by 4, but we'll do that later. First we'll go with Naplam. So Naplam swings over at this guy here. He misses again. He misses, he keeps missing. Yep, so Naplam is basically useless. I don't think he's done a single hit throughout this entire campaign so far. Rebar is going to mutter some words, lower the difficulty by 4, which means that it's going to be an DR8 with his strength. So he has to roll a 7 or above in order to damage this guy. So let's do that. I just needed to get a 7 or above. I just needed to get a 7 or above. Nope, he doesn't do it. Never mind. So at this point, yeah, we're gonna have to roll for initiative again. Let's see. And the enemies go first. So at this point, these guys, 2 of them are gonna attack Naplam, 2 of them are gonna attack Rebar. This is not good. This is not good. Before they can do anything, they have to basically fend off these attacks. So we're gonna go with, let's see here. Naplam gets hit twice. Naplam gets hit twice. For how much damage? 3. And does he block it? Okay, he blocks one. He gets 1 damage off the first one and 2 damage off the second one. He takes 3 damage total. So he gets sliced up a little bit. I'm more worried about Rebar. Rebar, at this point, he doesn't have a lot of HP. I think what he's gonna do in the next turn is not run. I think I have a plan, but first he's gonna try to dodge the attacks. So 15, he dodges the first one, and he dodges the second one. He's good. Rebar is gonna be like screaming out to Naplam, "I'm gonna use the poison!" And as he says this, he takes out his red poison and flings it at this group. So I'm gonna do a presence move, and if it's a strong hit, it hits both of them. If it's a weak hit, it hits one of them. If it's a fail, it hits none of them. So there's gonna be a presence move. There's gonna be a DR12. I am also gonna reduce this. Actually, I'm gonna reduce this by 4, so it's gonna be a DR8. He needs to get 8 or above on both of them to be able to hit both of them at once. I think he'll be able to do it. I think he'll be able to do it. Hopefully. Okay, so he hits one of them. One of them gets doused in this red poison. Let's see what happens. Please, 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 what happens? Red poison, what is toughness DR12 or D10 damage? Oh my god, that's a lot. And he has 3 doses. Alright, I should have written that down. He does have 3 doses, yeah. So he has 2 doses now. That's gonna be 2, and that's gonna be 3. Okay, so DR12, does the guy make it? If he gets below a 12, he's probably gonna die, I think. Oh my god, okay. The guy starts screaming in pain, but he's fine. He's perfectly fine. It just grazed him a little bit. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, no. Yeah, my luck is terrible today. Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, he just flings this poison. It hits one of them, doesn't affect him at all. Great. So that's what Naplam does. I mean, that's what Rebar does. Naplam is like, he's like, fuck, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. He's just gonna do the same thing. He's gonna throw his poison, which has a different effect actually. But he's gonna throw his poison at these guys, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're actually gonna reduce the omens by 1 again, because I really want this to work. So, please. I'm gonna roll, and we're gonna see, his presence is +1, so he needs to hit a 7 or above on each of the dice. Okay, he hits one of them. So again, one of them gets hit by this, we're gonna say the bottom guy. The bottom guy gets hit by this black poison. And what happens? So the black poison is DR14 or D6 damage plus blind for an hour. That's good. DR14. If he gets a 13 or below, he's gonna be blinded. Oh my. These... No, we're running. We are running. We're going away. Goodbye. We need to find out what's initiative on the next turn, but this guy needed a 13 or below to get affected by the poison. He got a 14. So, yeah. I think we're gonna run. Initiative for next turn. They go first. Okay, yeah, we're definitely running. But first we're gonna get hit, probably. So let's see. 15. Naplam is able to dodge both of the strikes. How about Rebar? He's able to dodge one, and he's able to dodge the other. Okay, good. They're able to dodge all of the attacks. Naplam and Rebar are like... Oh my god, we can't do anything at all, right? And they run. So we're gonna check whether they succeed at that. Oh no, there's 4 enemies, so it's a DR15 vs agility with D. Oh, okay, that's very unlikely to for them to succeed. We'll see. So is Naplam able to escape? Let's see. Oops, let's try that again. 15. So there's a 14 agility. Okay, so Naplam is barely able to escape, but they basically get opportunity attack by the Leech collectors, who aren't even dangerous, they are just Leech collectors, and he basically has to dodge from an opportunity attack. Let's see, does he get hit? He gets hit. By how much? 2 damage. He takes 1 damage. Oh my god, this is pathetic. Okay, so they run away from the Leech collectors. Naplam is able to do it. Is Rebar able to do it? He has a higher chance of being able to escape. So we'll see. Yep, he gets a weak hit as well. So what's gonna happen is Rebar is also going to get hit by one of them. Is he able to dodge it? He's able to dodge it. So both of them are able to escape somehow. These harmless Leech collectors who they almost died to. And they run, and they run, and they run. And I think they follow the compass as well. As they're running, they find, just by following the compass, they find the Crypt. Rebar, the master of dodging. That's right. So they find the Crypt. What does the Crypt look like? It's a good question. I think what we're gonna do is we're going to actually check the... There's a dungeon generator for BORG. We're gonna click this button and we're going to get some ideas from here. So I'm gonna click it. Let's see here. Dissident courtiers dedicated to the cult. Guarded by... This is what I wanted to know. Who is it guarded by and the distinctive feature? Twist all powers. Okay. And we know it's not in Kyrgyz, so it's a gate between cracked eyes. I'm gonna reroll this, maybe. Yeah, I think I mainly wanted to know who was it guarded by. But it's guarded by no one, basically. And I think they just find this innocuous crypt. And there's nothing really special about it. In fact, there's a lot of crypts within Graven-Tosk, given what it is. But they find this place, and they find that the compass just leads them towards it. I think at this point, Naplam and Rebar are like, we have one food left. I guess what they're gonna do is they're going to actually look around for any trees or anything, and they're going to try to break off some torches and try to not make too much noise. All right, try to not make too much noise, please. So they were starved for that night because they were running through. But yeah, we're gonna try to see, do they get any torches out of it? I think they're going to. It's more, do they make any noise? So I'm gonna say presence on each of them. Naplam makes some noise. How about Rebar? They both make a large amount of noise. Okay. They got some torches now. I'm gonna give them 2 torches each. But the question is, does their breaking of this bring any attention to them? I'm gonna say it's a 50-50 chance. Yes. Somebody is attracted to this noise. Are they the Leech collectors? 50-50 chance. They're not. Okay. They're not Leech collectors. They're some kind of. And are they a monster? Are they human? No. Okay. That's all I needed to know. Yeah. No worries, Masked. Thank you for the message. Appreciate it. So we're gonna find out what they actually draw the attention of. Let's see here. We're gonna say, yeah, so we're gonna check this. What monsters do they grab the attention of while trying to break these torches? Break the wood so they can get some torches. Makeshift ones. 6. D2, it's gonna be 1. 1 to 2 is 1, 3 to 4 is 2. 1 blood-drenched skeleton appears from the mist. I think they don't even want to deal with this guy. They see the blood-drenched skeleton. Given their luck so far, we're gonna roll initiative. Actually, we're not gonna roll initiative. What we're gonna do is, they see it coming and they run for it. They run for the crypt and they try to close the gate behind them. Can they make it? I'm gonna just, for this one, to make it simple, I think instead of rolling a move for both of them, yeah, I'm just gonna roll a move for the slowest one. So I'm gonna roll a move for Naplam. If Naplam can make it, so can Rebar. So we're gonna roll 2d20 and we're gonna see what happens. Weak hit. So Naplam and Rebar try to run for it, but one of them gets hit by this blood-drenched skeleton for a little bit of damage. So I'm just going to say that let's see who it is. 1 to 2 is Naplam. It is Naplam. And how much damage is it? I'm just gonna say is D4 damage. It's 1 damage. His cloth armor protects him. They're able to go in fine. They close the gate behind them. And this blood-drenched skeleton is just banging at the gates. And right now, Naplam and Rebar are in pitch dark. They can't see anything. They strike up their torches. I don't think that's how it works, but let's just say that they have some flint or something. They strike up the torches and they can see somewhat ahead of them. Yes, Luna, that's a good description of what just happened. They see ahead of them and they realize they are now in the crypt of some kind of cult. Probably of the ones of the Howling Lamb, but we'll have to see. So at this point, we're gonna have to figure out what's in the first room.